Hey everyone, I'm here with Chris Keeling at E3 2015. I just had a chance to check out Master of Orion, the remake of a classic PC gaming franchise all the way back from 1993. Chris, how you doing?
Great. It's a fantastic product, and I'm really happy to be working on it.
Yeah, it's one of our favorite games of all time across the legacy of our publication, of course. Can you kind of break down briefly what's the kind of sweeping overview of your approach to Master of Orion?
We wanted to really appeal to the core audience because we are part of that core audience. We're very passionate about this game. So we've taken a lot of steps to make sure that it's going to be relevant to the core audience. We've kept the original Master of Orion 1 storyline, the original races, the original 4X gameplay, of course, expand, explore, exploit, exterminate. We have several of the original developers on our staff as consultants to help us to keep the spirit and the soul of the game. And we've kind of brought it into the 21st century by taking best practices from the entire 4X genre that has happened since then, as well as the original series of games.
Great. And you guys right now you're talking about early access as a release method for this. What have you learned kind of looking at other games releases through early access? It's sort of in our opinion, kind of a mixed bag of successes, and I think there's been a lot of learning in that area, in that system on Steam over the past couple of years. What's your approach going to be within early access?
That's a good question. We're looking at that right now. We haven't solidified anything yet. We don't have any plans to announce on that yet. So at this point, all we know is that we want to let people see it before it's ready, but we don't know exactly how that's going to happen.
Great. And to what extent is taking a classic franchise like this, is it a burden at all to you? There's such an expectation, and people have such good memories, formative memories in PC gaming with this game, and there's a certain amount of things you need to reproduce. Like, how much freedom do you feel like you have to mutate that and play with that to make it a modern 4X game?
Well, personally, I can remember long weekends of 20-hour plus games of Master of Orion, especially Master of Orion 2. And so to me, I have to make sure for myself that it's done right. But also, like I said, we have these consultants from the original development team on the project, and we asked them, what would you do if you could do it with more resources, with all the modern technology, and with the keeping in mind that Master of Orion started the whole 4X genre. Now we've had over 20 years of that genre being developed. What have you seen in the genre that you thought really appealed to you, that would really make good core gameplay for Master of Orion? So we've looked at the original games, and we've looked at the original mechanics and the elements of those games. We've also added some new features that the original developers and us also feel really contribute to the 4X genre as a whole.
So over the past 22 years, of course, you've had a lot of 4X games, building on the success of Master of Orion, building on that set of ideas. What's going to distinguish the new Master of Orion from that existing set of 4X games?
Well, we're focusing on the whole top level of gameplay, right? The 4X factors of gameplay. We don't want to dive too deep. Of course, we're going to have tactical battles. We're going to have all these other features that you expect from the game, but we don't want people to be lost in the minutia. We want you to be able to focus on building your empire, broadening it, diplomacy. We have this super deep AI for diplomacy. We want to also, aside from having it more beautiful and lots of different planets and the different races and the fantastic voices and all the quality that we want to bestow on this legendary game. We want to keep that feeling, that original feeling, intact on the inside, but we also want to be able to wrap it in a more beautiful package that's more elegant and simpler to understand for people who don't want to play a game that we're essentially juggling spreadsheets, right? We want it to be easier to understand and for a new player to be able to grasp the interface.
Great. So one of the things I've always sort of struggled with Civ and other 4X games is sort of the faction AI behavior. At its worst, it's sort of very schizophrenic, where I feel like I'm developing a relationship with a faction, good or bad, and I have an understanding of where they're going, what their intentions are, and they sort of shift dramatically on me. Do you have any specific mindset around how you build those factions, how you make them easy to deal with, and make them a part of the game that feels more consistent?
Well, we don't want to have a formulaic approach, so we don't want to have it very easy to approach every single race with exactly the same formula, where you start out with a research pact or a trade pact, and then you move into an alliance slowly. We want it to be a real feeling of negotiation. Each race has its own personality, its own quirks, its own preferred method of both diplomacy or aggression or research, whatever their best focus is on. And each one should be addressed from that particular angle, because they are really focused on that. We don't want, for example, if you're going to go with the Darlock, you may negotiate from a position of strength, but they're still going to use espionage, right? They're going to be focusing on that. So we have these deep AI that actually are unique to each race. We don't want it to be a kind of a bland sugarcoating of the same kind of diplomacy with every single race.
Yeah, I mean, it's important when you have those distinct factions for them to have distinct personalities, I guess.
Yes, and of course they'll have their own unique technologies, tactics, all kinds of ship designs, all these different things. So playing each race will be a whole different experience. Each type of victory condition will be a whole different experience. Each galactic seed will be a whole different experience. So there'll be you can get thousands of hours of gameplay out of this.
So I've had a lot of fun with other 4X games, introducing mods, big and small, total conversions. Where do you guys stand with modability right now? I know it's still early.
Yeah, we know that modding is very important to the community. Right now, it's not. It's under consideration, but we haven't solidified any decision on this yet. We'd love to have modding in. If we can possibly do it, we will. If not, we'll see what happens farther down the line.
Great. Well, Chris, thanks so much for talking with us. It's a big responsibility, a big heritage PC game, and best of luck with it. Look forward to hearing more.
Thank you.